Alara Ward had fought in more wars than any commander wanted to admit existed. Not the clean wars that ended up in history books. Not the televised wars politicians pretended to win. No, she fought in the wars that governments buried beneath negotiations and headlines. The wars where soldiers became ghosts long before they died. Tonight, as she stood inside a dimly lit command tent in the middle of a desert base, she felt the weight of those ghosts pressing against her skin. The briefing officer's voice droned on. And Bahrain City has fully collapsed into hostile control. Civilians report widespread executions, disappearances, forced recruitment. Alara wasn't really listening anymore. She knew how these briefings went. A city falls. A tyrant rises. Command debates for 6 months. People die for 7. Then someone like her gets called to clean it up. She should have retired years ago. But every time she tried, she found herself loading another rifle, another magazine, another justification. The officer finally spoke the words she knew were coming. "You're the only veteran we have with enough Black Ops urban experience to pull this off." She smirked bitterly. "I'm the only one stupid enough to say yes, you mean?" He didn't deny it. The hollow map flickered, displaying Bahrain, a crescent-shaped desert city built around a dried riverbed. Its skeleton of old stone towers and collapsed homes stretched beneath an unforgiving sun. "The militia's leader is General Nasser," the officer continued, "a former ally. He controlled the desert passage routes until he broke from us 2 years ago." Alara's eyebrow twitched. Nasser. She had heard that name before, whispered in other tents, in other missions, in places where soldiers exchanged truths no report would ever document. He wasn't just cruel. He wasn't just ambitious. He was methodical. He broke people slowly, the way heat breaks steel. Her jaw tightened. "And why wasn't he removed earlier?" she asked. Silence. The officer inhaled sharply. "He was useful." There it was. The truth always arrived ugly and late. "So now," she said slowly, "you want justice?" He exhaled. "We want results." Alara nodded. Justice and results had never been the same thing in her world. The transport truck dropped her 12 kilometers from the city, where dunes swallowed the horizon and the heat rose like steam from a furnace. She moved on foot, her steps slow but steady. Traveling alone wasn't a tactical choice. It was the only way to stay unseen. Hours passed. Her canteen drained. Sweat burned her eyes. But she kept going. Because she had walked into worse places and returned. Because she was a veteran of wars that didn't forgive weakness. Because someone in Bahrain needed her, even if they didn't yet know her name. As night approached, the wind shifted, carrying with it the scent of smoke and something far worse. Fear. Desert cities smell different when ruled by terror. The air tastes heavier. Buildings lean as if ashamed. Silence becomes not peace, but warning. She tightened her scarf. Bahrain was close. When Alara entered Bahrain, the streets were nearly empty. Camels lay tethered to collapsed stalls. Dead lanterns hung from broken wires. Shattered sandstone homes glowed faintly in moonlight. She moved through alleyways that seemed to hold their breath. A child watched her from behind a crate. A girl with dust-covered cheeks and eyes too old for her age. Alara knelt. "Is it safe to be out?" The girl shook her head quickly. "They see everything." "Who?" "The men who take people after dark." Alara felt something cold coil inside her. "Go home," she whispered. The girl vanished. Desert winds sighed through the ruins. Bahrain wasn't just under occupation. It was suffocating. Alara reached the address given to her, a faded stone building with a slanted door. Inside, she met the medic, not the same one as in the last mission, but someone carved from similar pain. His name was Tariq. He limped slightly as he walked. Old injury. Old war. Another ghost, like her. "You came alone?" he asked quietly. "Always." He studied her, seeing what others often missed, the fatigue beneath the resolve, the history behind the eyes. "You're the veteran." he said with something between awe and sorrow. The one from the Shale conflict. And the Orange Siege. And, names don't matter, she interrupted. They matter to those you saved, he replied softly. That silenced her. Tarek poured water into a cracked cup. You should know, he said. Nasser isn't acting alone. Someone outside the city is supplying him. Weapons, intel, maybe even orders. Alara stiffened. Who? Tarek looked down. That's the question. And the answer is the reason you were truly sent here. It struck her like a stone to the chest. This mission wasn't just justice. It was cover. Up. As Alara moved deeper into the city, she encountered whispers following her name. Is that her? The veteran? The one who ended the siege of Oran? The one who saved the border villages? In every whispered memory, she heard a different version of herself. A myth, a rumor, a symbol. But not one of them knew the truth. She never fought for medals, or nations, or glory. She fought because someone had to. And because once, long ago, in a different war, she had failed someone she loved. A brother in arms. A mentor. A man who told her, justice isn't what people tell you it is. Justice is what you choose when no one is watching. Tonight, she would see H. Once again, she climbed onto a rooftop and assembled her rifle. Every click of metal echoing through her bones like memory. Below, militia guards marched. Civilians knelt. A line of prisoners waited for judgment. Her finger trembled, not from fear, but from fury. She saw Nasser appear. Tall, confident, wrapped in false honor. He began speaking to the crowd, but she couldn't hear the words. She didn't need to. This was a ritual of humiliation. Her scope aligned with his chest. But something stopped her. A shadow in the far building. Movement. A figure signaling to Nasser. Someone giving the orders. So that's who you're serving. Alara exhaled slowly. Killing Nasser wouldn't solve the deeper rot. Justice required MO. Breathe in one bullet. The next hours she spent sneaking through courtyards, abandoned wells, and collapsed workshops. She found evidence. Boxes of weapons with foreign markings. Encrypted radios. Maps that didn't belong to desert militias. A larger operation was behind this. Someone was building a proxy army in Bahrain. Someone powerful. As she crouched behind a wall, she overheard two guards speaking. Tonight they moved the prisoners. Where? To the compound for sorting. And the children? Training or punishment, depends who they belong to. A chill spread through her veins. This wasn't war. This was trafficking. Forced conscription. Slow extermination. Her mission expanded without permission. She adjusted her rifle strap. Then I free them, she whispered into Th. Darkness. No orders needed. The prison was beneath an ancient mosque shattered by artillery years ago. Alara slipped through a crack in the foundation and descended into the dimness. She heard sobbing, metal scraping, guards laughing. Dozens of civilians, women, boys, elders, crouched behind rusty bars. A little boy stared at her with trembling hope. Did they send you? He whispered. No, she said softly. But I came anyway. The guards heard her voice. Footsteps, shouts, charging boots. Alara moved like she had in a dozen forgotten wars. 3 guards fell before they realized who she was. 2 more before their rifles even lifted. When the last one collapsed, she turned to the prisoners. Take the left passage. Stay low. Don't stop unless you see stars above you. They fled into the night. She remained behind, because she knew more guards would come, and someone had to delay them. Someone had to choose Jew. Stice over survival. She always did. The battle inside the tunnels was brutal, close, suffocating. She used knives when bullets ran low, elbows when her hands went numb, walls when she had nothing left. Each strike carried decades of suppressed anger. Each takedown echoed the wars that scarred her. By the time she climbed back to the surface, she was bleeding, bruised, breathless, but alive. Above her, the city had erupted into chaos. Prisoners running, guards chasing, fire spreading. The desert sky glowed orange. She had started an uprising. A drone hovered overhead, military grade. Familiar. Too familiar. Then a voice crackled in her earpiece. A voice she knew. Still causing trouble, Ward? I should have expected it. Her blood turned to ice. Commander Roloff. Her former superior. A man she once trusted. A man who abandoned an entire unit to save himself in a war no one admitted happened. She had thought he died. She had hoped he died. But here he was. You did well softening the city, he continued. Now step aside. We'll take control. She whispered. You're the one supplying Nasser. Of course. A corrupt tyrant makes an excellent puppet. Her grip tightened on her rifle. You used me. Iowa. YS have. Roloff's mercenaries stormed the city, an organized, well-equipped force that dwarfed Nasser's militia. Civilians screamed. Homes burned. Order collapsed entirely. Alara sprinted across rooftops, firing at mercenaries advancing toward children she had freed. Her old wound tore open. Her breath faltered. Her vision blurred. But she kept fighting. Because she was a veteran. Because she had survived hells worse than this. Because justice demanded a price. Because she refused to let R.A. Leth win again. She reached the central square, now a war zone. Roloff stood among his soldiers, wearing polished armor and arrogance. You're alone, Ward, he shouted. You're outdated. Broken. Forgotten. She looked around. Civilians stood on rooftops. Freed prisoners armed themselves with stolen rifles. Tarek limped into the square to stand beside her. And the boy, the medic's brother, took position behind cover, ready. Alara smiled. I was never alone. The battle that followed was long, furious, relentless. Alara fired until her rifle clicked empty. Then she grabbed another. And another. Her team wasn't soldiers. They were people reclaiming their home. Roloff fell back, furious. You can't kill me, he screamed. You need me alive. Alara stepped forward. No, she said softly. I just need you gone. She fired once. Roloff fell. The city fell silent. The sun rose. For the first time. In years without chains. When the smoke cleared, the people gathered around her. They didn't cheer. They didn't kneel. They simply looked at her with a gratitude too deep for words. You saved us, Tarek said. No, Alara replied. I reminded you that you could save yourselves. She turned toward the rising sun. Her body ached. Her scars throbbed. Ghosts whispered. But she walked anyway. Because she wasn't done. Because the world always found new wars. Because justice had no retirement. And because somewhere, another city was whispering her name. If you enjoy heroic military fiction, tactical storytelling, and cinematic narratives, subscribe for more powerful stories every week.